What really happened that night? Let's find out.
On that cold October night, Detective James Rodriguez received a phone call that would lead him to the most complex case of his career. But what he didn't know yet was that behind this murder lay a web of love, betrayal, and a cold-blooded plan. Chapter 1: The Secrets of Midnight. Michael Thompson came from a poor farming family in Kentucky. He moved to Chicago at 17 and 6 years later married Sarah through family connections. But this marriage wasn't going as they had hoped. The couple, unable to have children, was slowly being crushed under years of disappointment and financial struggles. Michael's only escapes were alcohol, football games on television, and the lottery tickets he bought regularly. But the truly shocking events would unfold on October 26, 2009. Chapter 2: The 911 Call, 2:50 a.m. The rain that had been pouring all day finally stopped. As the clock approached 3, a woman's terror-filled voice came through to 911 dispatch. "My husband, God, my husband won't move. Please help me." The operator tried to stay calm. "Ma'am, I need your address." "We're on Maple Street in Rogers Park. Hurry, I think he's dead." This is exactly when Detective James Rodriguez would enter the scene. Chapter 3: Detective Rodriguez's First Impressions. Detective Lieutenant James Rodriguez had 20 years of experience with the Chicago Police Department and had been to hundreds of crime scenes. As he approached Michael Thompson's lifeless body in the backyard, he remembered his first trainer's words: "Nothing is ever as simple as it appears." The victim lay near the garden shed, hastily covered. "This doesn't look like a simple robbery case," Rodriguez muttered. "Too organized, too clean." But you haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. Chapter 4: The Widow's Story. Sarah Thompson sat in the living room in her nightgown, crying. Detective Rodriguez sat across from her. "Mrs. Thompson, I know this is incredibly difficult, but I need you to tell me what happened tonight." Sarah wiped her eyes with a tissue. "I heard voices from the backyard while I was sleeping. There had been burglaries in this neighborhood before, so I woke Michael up." "What did you tell him?" "I said, 'Honey, I think there's someone outside.' Michael started looking for his baseball bat but couldn't find it. He went outside in a panic." "Where was he looking for the bat?" It was always kept beside the bed, but it wasn't there that night. Michael was very surprised. He asked, 'Where's the bat?' But he had to hurry because the voices continued." Rodriguez's eyes sharpened. "Mrs. Thompson, what time did you call 911? "I don't remember exactly. I was in shock. I couldn't think." "Wait a minute. Don't miss this detail." Chapter 5: Witness Statements. First Clues. Neighbor Robert Sullivan was watching late-night television that night. "I saw 2 men running from the Thompson house around 2:30 a.m. They got into a white sedan and drove off quickly." "Can you describe the vehicle?" "Looked like a Ford Crown Victoria, about 10 years old. I tried to get the license plate, but it was too dark." Neighbor across the street, Patricia Williams, said, "The last 2 numbers on the plate were either 23 or 28. I'm not completely sure." What you've seen so far is nothing. Chapter 6: Autopsy Report. Shocking Truth. Dr. Elizabeth Morrison, Cook County Medical Examiner, met with Detective Rodriguez. Cause of death was a single puncture wound to the right side of the neck. The weapon was something like a large screwdriver or ice pick. Could a woman have done this? Unlikely. The angle and force required indicate a male attacker. She also added, the victim's blood alcohol level was 0.15, well above the legal limit. He'd been drinking heavily. You won't believe what discovery is coming next. Chapter 7: Vehicle Tracking and First Arrest. Detective Martinez searched the Illinois DMV database for white Crown Victorias with plates ending in 23 or 28. 7 vehicles were found. Within hours, the first major break came. A traffic camera on Western Boulevard had captured a white Crown Victoria with a plate ending in 23 at 3:15 a.m. moving away from the Thompson neighborhood. Frank Murphy, 56, a night security guard and owner of the vehicle. Officers, my car was parked outside all night. I came home from work at 11 p.m. and didn't go anywhere after that. Mr. Murphy, your vehicle was caught on camera miles from here at 3:15 a.m. Murphy's face went pale. That's impossible, unless my Uncle Kevin has a spare key. Sometimes he takes the car without permission. This is when everything was about to change. Chapter 8: Kevin Murphy and Steve Collins, Web of Lies. Kevin Murphy, 35, opened the door to his South Side apartment with obvious nervousness. His roommate Steve Collins, 34, stood behind him, equally uncomfortable. Kevin Murphy, Chicago Police, we need to talk about your uncle's car. What about it? It was spotted near a crime scene early this morning. Where were you around 2:30 a.m.? Here, watching movies with Steve. We stayed up late, didn't we, Steve? Steve nodded quickly. Yeah, we watched 3 movies back to back. Never left the apartment. But Detective Rodriguez had seen enough suspects to know when someone was lying. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. Chapter 9: Physical Evidence Piles Up. Using luminol spray, blood traces were discovered throughout the Crown Victoria's interior. The steering wheel, door handles, and trunk all tested positive. Searches of Kevin and Steve's apartments yielded critical evidence. Clothing with microscopic blood spatter, muddy boots matching footprints from Thompson's backyard, work gloves with blood traces. DNA results came back within 48 hours. All blood samples matched Michael Thompson's DNA profile. But the real shock is now coming. Chapter 10: The Breaking Point. Confronted with overwhelming physical evidence, Kevin Murphy finally broke down. Okay, we were there, but we didn't mean to kill him. Detective Rodriguez leaned forward. Tell me what really happened, Kevin. Steve and I had been drinking after work. We were broke, needed rent money. I remembered this house where the guy always seemed to have cash. So you decided to rob Michael Thompson? It was supposed to be simple. Get in while everyone's asleep, grab some stuff, get out. But that old man came out with a baseball bat, screaming. Then what happened? Kevin's voice dropped to a whisper. He swung at Steve first. I had my work screwdriver in my pocket. It was just a reflex. I just wanted him to stop. You won't believe this, but there's an even darker side to this story. Chapter 11: The Murder Weapon and Baseball Bat Mystery. The screwdriver was thought to have been thrown into the Chicago River. 3 days later, Steve Collins, under the weight of guilt, led police to a construction dumpster 2 miles from the crime scene. Kevin made me throw it there. We were both panicking. The screwdriver carried traces of the victim's blood and Kevin Murphy's fingerprints. But Professor Alan Reeves from Northwestern University made a shocking discovery. This bat was previously broken and repaired with industrial adhesive. It broke again during the struggle. What kind of adhesive? The type used in electrical work, very specific composition. Rodriguez remembered that Kevin did electrical work. Investigation revealed that Kevin had worked on electrical repairs at the Thompson house 2 weeks before the murder. During that visit, he had noticed Michael's baseball bat, and when it accidentally broke, he had offered to repair it. But the most shocking part of the story hasn't come yet. Chapter 12: The Blanket Evidence. Sarah's Secret.
The blanket that Sarah Thompson had placed over her husband's body yielded the final, shocking piece of evidence. "Detective, you need to see this," the lab technician called urgently. DNA analysis of stains on the blanket revealed genetic material that didn't belong to Michael Thompson and didn't belong to the killers either. "Whose DNA is it?" Rodriguez asked. "It matches Kevin Murphy perfectly, but these aren't bloodstains." Rodriguez was shocked. He immediately went to question Sarah Thompson again. "Mrs. Thompson, we need to discuss your relationship with Kevin Murphy." Sarah's composure instantly cracked. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sarah, we found DNA evidence. Kevin wasn't just your electrician, was he?" Tears flowing, Sarah finally confessed. "Michael was an angry drunk. He never hit me, but he was cruel with words. Kevin was kind to me when he came to fix the wiring." "How long had you been seeing him?" 3 months. We never meant for it to happen, but Michael was so cold, so distant. Kevin made me feel alive again." But the truth doesn't stop there. Chapter 13. The truth emerges. After hours of questioning, the complete truth finally came to light. Kevin Murphy had been having an affair with Sarah Thompson for months. During his electrical work at their house, he had learned about Michael's habits, his drinking, his late-night wanderings, and his protective instincts about his home. Sarah kept complaining about how Michael treated her. She said she wished she could just disappear, start over, somewhere else. "So you plan to rob him?" "At first, yes, but then I thought, if something happened to Michael, Sarah would be free. We could be together." "Did you plan to murder him?" Kevin's lawyer interrupted, but Kevin continued. "I told Steve it was just a robbery. I never told him about Sarah or my real plans." And now we'll discover just how complex Sarah's role really was. Chapter 14. Sarah's True Role. Sarah's involvement proved more complex than initially believed. "I gave Kevin the baseball bat a week before," she finally confessed. "I told him Michael always grabbed it when he heard noises. I said if someone ever broke in, they should expect him to come out armed." "Did you plan the murder with Kevin?" "No. Yes, I don't know anymore. I wanted Michael gone, but I never explicitly said kill him. I let Kevin know when Michael would be most vulnerable." "Did you remove the bat from the bedroom that night?" Sarah nodded through her tears. "I wanted Kevin to have an advantage. I thought maybe if Michael couldn't find his bat right away, he'd be more careful. Maybe just call the police instead of going outside." And now, the day of judgment has come. Chapter 15. Trial and Conviction. The trial of People versus Kevin Murphy and Sarah Thompson lasted 3 weeks. The prosecution painted a picture of premeditated murder, born of adultery and greed. Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Walsh presented the evidence methodically. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this was not a burglary gone wrong. This was cold-blooded, calculated murder.
The defendants conspired to kill Michael Thompson so they could be together and collect his life insurance. The defense argued for reduced charges. Public defender Mark Stevens: Kevin Murphy made a terrible mistake in a moment of panic. There was no conspiracy, no premeditation. This was manslaughter at most. The verdicts. After 12 hours of deliberation, the jury returned their verdict. Kevin Murphy, guilty of first-degree murder, life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Sarah Thompson, guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and accessory to murder, 25 years to life. Steve Collins, guilty of manslaughter and accessory after the fact, 12 years. Finale: justice served. 6 months after Michael Thompson's death, Detective Lieutenant Rodriguez closed the case file. Standing in his office looking out at the Chicago skyline, he reflected on the investigation with Detective Martinez. "You know what they got them in the end?" Rodriguez asked his partner. "The DNA on the blanket? That and the fact that there's no such thing as a perfect crime. Every criminal makes mistakes. It's just a matter of finding them." Martinez nodded. Sarah thought she was being clever by covering the body, showing concern. Instead, she handed us the evidence that proved the affair. And Kevin thought he could make it look like a random robbery, but he couldn't resist taking that bat as a trophy, and he couldn't clean all the blood from his uncle's car. The two detectives stood in silence for a moment, both thinking about the victim who had died simply because he was married to the wrong woman. "Michael Thompson deserved better," Rodriguez said finally. "They always do. They always do." In the end, justice prevailed through careful police work, forensic science, and the simple truth that criminals, no matter how clever they think they are, always leave a trail. Michael Thompson's murder was solved not through brilliant deduction, but through methodical investigation and the criminal's own mistakes. And so, Detective James Rodriguez once again proved that the truth always comes out, but sometimes that truth is much darker than you could ever imagine. Subscribe now and uncover the next dark story with us.